Hey world, it's John Pinto, your roving realtor, bon vivant, home chef, BMW enthusiast. If you saw my video the other day from BMW of San Luis Obispo on all the BMWs on the showroom floor. And today I have a special guest, Jake Wood, who is and or was the sous chef at Auberge du Soleil up in Rutherford, up on the hill. And he, like everybody else, has been sheltering in place. Hello, Jake. Chef Jake, how you doing?
Doing good, John. How are you?
Very good, very good. Now, Jake, in my old neighborhood in Red Hook, Brooklyn, if we had a guy in the neighborhood that was named Jake Wood,
I know where we're going with that.
right. His original name was Guido Bacigalupe. He went away to college for a few years, and then when he came back, his name was Jake Wood. So unfortunately, this is not a Facebook Live, so I cannot poll the audience. But when you do see this, you could send me a message or a text or an email and let me know if you think legitimately, especially with that look, with the sunglasses and the Count Basie hat, if he's really Jake Wood, the sous chef over at Auberge du Soleil in Rutherford, or if he's really Guido Bacigalupe, who went away to college, probably Attica, for 7 years, and he just came out with a new name, Jake Wood. But Jake, I'm going to go with the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to think that your real name is Jake Wood. So we could go in so many different directions right now, Jake. But let's try to make this instructive. People are at home sheltering in place. You're a professional chef. I'm a home chef, Neapolitan. We know our way around the kitchen. A lot of people, I can't imagine what they're going through, sheltering in place, not being able to go out to get food. So let's talk a little bit about what we can tell people who are home chefs or aspiring home chefs on how they might be able to take control of their kitchen. What do you think is for that direction?
Well, I mean, we're already seeing in grocery stores people trying to stock up, and more production's happening at home. One thing that I think is just a really nice starting point is the prepared or prepackaged canned things or whatever that we've known or we're familiar with. If you look at those ingredients, they're also in the produce aisle. Mm-hmm. And when I go grocery shopping, it's always I get everything put away and then I wash all the produce in the sink and pull out the crisper drawers, line them with fresh paper towels, and then go about it.
So you washed them right out of the gate?
Yeah, and it's also it helps save space. So say you're coming home with a bunch of broccoli for the whole week for you, your partner, you and your family. That's a lot of vegetables to try to put in a refrigerator to get a week's worth of vegetables into there. So it's also a good time to trim it up, get it placed away.
Yeah, get rid of the stalk. Maybe use some of those little burlap bags that keep it fresh.
Sometimes I've always just wrapped with a paper towel. I understand the paper towel shortage happened.
Yeah.
But I think we're back close to par with paper goods, or it's at least a little bit more available. Like all my herbs, I'll wrap in a moist paper towel and store those in a different section than say you would like chili peppers or onions.
So if I chop my carrots, for instance, I like to have chopped raw peeled carrots at the ready.
Yeah.
Now sometimes I have little specialty plastic bins that have little ventilation things on them. Sometimes I don't, and I'll stick them in a Pyrex. You're saying wrap them in some moist paper towels?
No. Once you've prepped that far, once you're already peeled and cut,
yeah.
Store them in containers. I'm talking about initially when you're just trimming off the greens and storing them, or when you get an opportunity to say take the stalks off of big heads of broccoli so they fit and everything. It's always before I go to the grocery store, I actually clean out the fridge.
So that's a great idea.
So I pull everything out, and that's kind of the way I translate my experience in commercial kitchens to being at home, is that I'm trying to rotate stuff. So if I have one extra head of cauliflower or a couple jalapenos or something from the week before that I didn't use, I know that's coming out because that's going to go into whatever I make for dinner tonight, because I'm putting a whole fresh new batch of vegetables in there.
Ooh,
so I'm
like
getting that out and rotating.
I like that.
We call it FIFO in commercial kitchens. First
FIFO?
in, first
Oh,
out.
I got you. I got you. You know, a couple of months ago, I actually did a Facebook Live video of the inside of my refrigerator, and I threw down the gauntlet, daring anyone to show me a live video of the inside of their refrigerator, which probably had a lot of lab experiments in them, you know.
Yeah.
Mine was, but I just went into a frenzy cleaning out the refrigerator coming back from the farmer's market, doing what you suggested. So I like that idea. How often do you like to clear out the fridge?
Well, I mean, we grocery shop once a week. So once a week, I mean, probably every other month, every shelf gets pulled out. But, I mean, and that's now that we're using it more and we're at home more often. But yeah, at least the bottom half every week gets pulled out, and then, because to me it's easier to load up those drawers when you pull them out than it is to keep opening them up and put each and everything.
I like that technique. So
I
you
pull it out, I get everything trimmed and washed and ready to go into the drawer goes in, and then I can also plan what I'm going to do with it if I didn't already have a plan before I went shopping.
I like that plan to bring out the drawers. Hey Richard, how you doing? We're doing a little video here. This is Jake Wood, local chef, and you're bringing us you're bringing us some water.
Gotta stay hydrogenated.
This is my buddy Richard. Ricky, don't lose that number. He's been here ever since Francis Ford Coppola stepped on the property. I forgot to tell you where we are. We are at the lovely Inglenook Winery, and Richard, why don't you kind of put your head over right here and say hello to everybody. There we go. There's Richard. What do you look like without the mask? Even better looking.
Good afternoon. Welcome.
And one thing I want to say is I've been sheltering in place. Me and Ellen have been sheltering in place. And if there's one venue, one set of staff, one person that I believe in, Francis Ford Coppola, it's you are safe at Inglenook. If you come here, they're mask, social distancing, minimum number of people in the place at one time. Come see my good buddy Richard.
Everything.
That's right.
Including your humble narrator.
That's right.
Been sanitized.
Well,
That's right.
The parking lot's social distance.
Even the
The
parking lot is socially distanced. That is correct.
Well, enjoy. You have some wonderful vintages there.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and thank you for the water.
Yes.
Okay, good. So you know what? You have taught me something here to clean out the protein and the produce bins, set them on my island, and fill them up after I go to farmer's market, which is how we know each other.
Right.
I like that.
But you're going to be more organized that way.
Yeah.
You're not, instead of, where are those 2 jalapenos, from 3 days ago, you're like, oh no, I always store them with the carrots. There they are. Like,
Excellent. So let's talk about where you're shopping. It's been pretty much proven that under COVID-19, you're much better off outside than you are inside. And, I have not gone inside Safeway, Raley's, Nob Hill. I don't generally go there anyway. I do all my shopping mostly through the farmer's market, Napa Farmer's Market, where you and I know each other from. Farm Fresh to You, which is a farmer's market cooperative with a website that you can order things to. And Instacart, which delivers for the supermarkets, and Amazon and Whole Foods. So where do you like to shop?
Well, I mean, I have a vested interest in the farmer's market. My lovely lady Ariella has toasted bagels, and she has a booth in the farmer's market. In fact, right about now, she's wrapping up the St. Helena farmer's market that she also sells the bagels in. So usually I'll go down there and visit, and then, I load up. I forget which of the farms, but one of their booths, they know it when I'm coming. They just pull out like heads of cabbage and everything that. So, I think I always get a couple, probably about an extra 4 or 5 bunches of scallions, just because I'll buy them out of a bunch of other stuff.
So I like Rodriguez Farms for their strawberries. I get 6 baskets for $20, And then just this week, I did a 2.5 hour live Zoom cooking video for 6 dishes, and one of them was balsamic sliced strawberries with cracked black pepper. Then I love Annette from Arceo Farms. When it comes to cherry picking, they got her name in Wikipedia. She's got the very best cherries. Who are your favorite vendors at the farmers market?
I've gone to Big Ranch Farms a few times, and you know, a lot of times I don't even look at the banner behind. I'm like looking at, you know, the head of
And
Napa cabbage or something. I'm like, that one. And I try also,
Yeah.
just because it's a, you know, lady works there, I try to buy from each and all of them. I mean, I think it's kind of important. I'm like, you know, that doesn't mean that if I see, you know, wilted basil on one, I'm going to buy it. You know, I try to pick and choose the nice ones that they each have.
That's good.
And there's always, everyone packs their truck differently. I mean, the very nature of how a farmer's market works, they are bringing it from the farm. So, I mean, there's sometimes that, you know, they each have different things that looks nicer than the other person does, and it kind of rotates, and there's a lot of things that go into that.
So let's shift gears for a little bit. You know, from talking to my vendors, talking to Derek Bromley from Ohm Coffee, who you've probably patronized a few times. You know, he has told me that 40 to 60% of his customers are opting for non-dairy oat milk in their cappuccinos or their lattes and things of that nature. So have you observed, or are you observing in your own kitchen, moving towards more of a plant-based menu?
Yeah, it's funny because when we were talking about how you structure a refrigerator, and I was thinking, like, I don't even have like a section designated specifically for proteins, because maybe I'll get, with the exception of eggs, we love eggs in our house, but I mean, maybe I'll get some bacon or a few breakfast sausages or something like that, and maybe once every other week we roast a whole chicken, and that goes a couple days into stock and everything like that, but that's getting kind of operated almost immediately. Yeah, and in terms of dairy, I mean, there's a few cheeses we like to, like we'll usually have some kind of hard cheese or something. If we want to grade into
Parmesan, Pecorino Romano, you got to have those. Mozzarella.
I mean, I couldn't tell you the last time we bought a gallon of milk or anything. You know, I mean,
so you mentioned eggs.
Yeah.
So let me tell you my favorite egg recipe, and you can either tell me, "Oh, wow, that sounds good," or you can tell me, "Yeah, I used that already." So for those of you that like cookbooks, there's a cookbook out there by a gentleman by the name of Schwartz. I forget his first name. He did Naples at table, Naples at table. And in there is a dish called uova in purgatorio, eggs in purgatory. So you make a pizzaiolo sauce, extra virgin olive oil, caramelize an onion. I like Maui onions or Vidalia onions, you know, because they're sweet. Throw in maybe a third of a teaspoon of crushed red pepper, maybe a tablespoon of dry oregano, and a can of San Marzano tomatoes, and reduce. Salt. When you have a nice reduction, but it still has to have some moisture, you throw 4 eggs right on top of the sauce in the pan, cover it, soft poach them, and then ladle the soft poached eggs and the reduced pizzaiolo sauce, the pizza sauce, over either polenta toast points or bruschetta, toasted Italian bread, with some grated Pecorino Romano.
Grilled a little too hard usually.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
You want it a little black when you do that, right?
Yeah, a little bit. You want it firm.
You put Castelvetrano olives in your purgatory sauce or not?
You mean like a la puttanesca? Yeah. Like a puttanesca? You know, I just keep it pretty basic on the eggs in purgatory. It's just a simple pizzaiolo sauce.
Gotcha.
How do you like that recipe?
I have used it.
You have you?
Yeah.
Well, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah, it's
pick something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's eggs and tomato sauce. It's 2 things I love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's always going to be.
Have you been?
Especially now with the fresh tomatoes too. I mean, there is magic that happens with the San Marzanos, and usually I add a little bit of red wine on the outside of the pan to get a nice little reduction of that into there.
Yeah.
Or sometimes a touch of balsamic just to get a little bright acid.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now we've got, fresh tomato. I mean, the produce in California is always amazing.
Have you patronized the two Ukrainian brothers at the farmers market with the heirloom tomatoes?
I don't think so.
Yeah, check them out. Look for them. They're usually there on Saturday, not there on Tuesday.
Okay.
And I always make it a point of, I like the yellow tomatoes as opposed to the red tomatoes. They have yellow tomatoes. And I sliced them thick, and I put them in my Le Creuset baking pan with a little bed of olive oil, thin, and plenty of kosher salt on top of them. And I throw them in for 250 degrees for maybe 4, 5, 6 hours, where I just let them slowly desiccate in the oven, occasionally rotating the pan in the convection oven so it doesn't singe at the corner. And then I use them in sandwiches or I throw it on top of a frittata.
You just made a delicious heirloom tomato jam out of your yellow tomatoes. And
Yeah.
Now you have your own home condiment, and there you go.
Yeah. Now, when I did that video on Zoom for 2.5 hours, it was Silicon Valley realtors. Everybody's in a hurry. They didn't like the let it just go at 250 for 4, 5, 6 hours. How can I speed it up? Can you actually speed up that process, or is a slow roasted tomato?
Well, your results only going to be achievable with that slow.
Okay.
The slow one. I mean, you can watch a pan very carefully and make sure you just, with a rubber tip spatula, keeping it from burning, and you can get reduction done faster.
Yeah.
But the way that those tomatoes developed and the way you did that, it's not going to be the same. You can get close. You can reduce.
Right.
Once you start cooking tomatoes, they purge the liquid. They purge all the water in them, and then you start reducing the water out to concentrate your flavor.
Yeah.
And that's what you were doing. But you also had open air roasting going on. There was a couple other things going on with the chemistry of the sugars in the tomato and how they change with that convection, especially with the convection oven, constantly throwing air through it. So, I mean, I would love to say you could, but I mean, there's tons of fast methods for great tomatoes.
All right. So you Jack Russell Terrier realtors out there that are in a hurry, sometimes you just got to take it easy. And what I was mentioning to them is do it on a Saturday or a Sunday when you're relaxing. Listen to some Miles Davis, kind of blue. Mellow out, chill out. Pour some wine, relax.
That reminds me, I have to buy that record. I have it on CD, but I've recently been buying up the vinyls of all the music I've liked in the past. Now that I've got a turntable that's not going to destroy my records, so.
Oh, you got a turntable?
Yeah, so I'm gonna get some kind of blue going on for sure. That's going on the list.
Very good. So let's switch gears. Auberge is certainly nice. I would imagine. Did you start cooking up there when Richard Reddington?
No, I worked for Richard when he had Red.
Okay.
In Yountville. It has since closed.
Well, he basically retired and went back east, right?
He shows up like Sasquatch around
Oh, really?
town. Yeah, every now and then you see him still in Yountville. I think there's, Redwood was still operating when COVID hit, and Redwood was in North Block Hotel in Yountville.
Yeah.
But yeah, Richard opened up another place he's in Rochester now, and apparently they're doing really well. There's a couple of guys I worked with back when we were all on the line down there.
Yeah.
They've got a hearth, but it's upstate New York, and
the weather sucks.
Yeah, the weather here is so beautiful and wonderful.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine. So, but no, he was at Auberge. He left well before I even started working for him in Yountville. But yeah, Yountville was a fun time back in the early or the mid-teens, right around 2014, 2015.
Oh yeah,
it was an exciting place to be.
Oh yeah, it was exciting. So let's shift gears for a minute and talk about Jake Wood, personal chef. People are home. Perhaps they can do some social distancing with their close family and friends, and do dinner parties in their backyards and spread them out in the kitchen, the family room, the living room, the patio. So, what are some of your favorite things to cook or recommend if you were going to be engaging with a homeowner to cook at home?
Well, right now it's the summertime, and the summertime means the grill.
Ah,
So, and we're already talking about produce and farmers markets. So right now, summer squashes out on the grill. Don't cut them too small because you just want to cook them. Like, they will disappear on that grill if you cut them too small, and then they just kind of blow out.
okay, so you're going squashes. So you go squash, then I'm going squash blossom.
Yeah.
Okay, so what would you do with squash blossoms?
Well, squash blossom though, you got to set up a little pot of oil, and we're getting into frying something.
Okay, so we're back in the kitchen
Yeah.
frying.
Yeah.
And what would you throw into that squash
I'm
blossom?
stuffing a squash blossom with goat cheese.
Goat cheese.
Yes.
Very good. Anything else?
Probably just whip and season some goat cheese with some chives. Stuff that in there and then bread it and fry it. And as long as you got to pull the stave out.
Yeah.
I guess I'm making some assumptions that we already know about processing squash blossoms, but
I think for purposes of our audience, all we know is if you've got a squash blossom deep fried with goat cheese,
Yeah.
that's something that they want to order.
right.
Okay, how you get there is important, but not necessarily that important. Is that involving an egg wash, by the way?
It can, but you don't have to. So even just a cornstarch slurry, if you get your thickness right and everything, you can get that blossom to hold a stuffing, a filling, and get it fried and hold it. But it's one of those that it takes. You have to build a relationship with it because I mean,
Yeah,
I've failed enough at it in my career that
it's fragile.
yeah, it is.
It's fragile. It's fragile. Okay, so we talked about stuffed squash blossoms. That is good eats. Now, how long will those squash blossoms be in season?
Californian season's so long, right? We
Okay.
probably still have another month or 6 weeks.
Okay, good. So squash
least.
blossoms. Okay, so I hijacked your squash into squash blossoms. What else would you be doing on the grill?
Well, I've become a huge fan of actually grilled cauliflower. Yeah.
Oh, I do roasted cauliflower.
Yeah. So
how do you do that?
That's I'll marinate that for at least an hour or two with something slightly with a decent olive oil, nothing too expensive because it is going on the grill, and it's going to get denatured by the heat, and then a slight acidulation. There's been a lot of limes go through my kitchen in the past month, so
So
I've
you're
been
doing an olive oil, lime,
a little bit of lime
marinade,
juice, and then salt and pepper goes in everything. Everything gets salt and pepper.
and you're throwing that on the grill.
Yeah.
Okay, and see, that's another thing that I would oven roast.
Yeah, it works great as an oven roast.
Okay, an hour. So I'll remember that. So from now on, when I take my cauliflowers, I will marinate them for an hour.
Yeah.
I'll use some olive oil. I'll use some citrus, lime or lemon,
Yeah.
salt and pepper.
I mean, you could do balsamic vinegar and it would be fine. Something acidulated. So we worry about acidulated marinades when it's meat
Yeah.
because it denatures it and it breaks it down. Cauliflower, it's going to take a long time for that to cook on the grill anyway. So if you denature it a little bit, if you get it a little bit softened up, it helps it quite a bit.
You know, I want to show everybody something. Can you hand me your glass?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so this is my glass. This is Jake's glass. Obviously, that you could see that Jake is a deeply disturbed individual. Jake, can you rectify that situation?
Yeah, I
please?
love this wine. I just don't have as much experience drinking it as you do.
Yes, I have very deep experience, as you could see. Okay, so that's another great recommendation that you told us. Now, with the cauliflower, are you slicing the cauliflower or are you sectioning it off?
No, I want to cut it because I want a face, right? Like I want a flat face on it. Whereas when you're roasting it in the oven, you can just leave the thing whole and the whole head, you get a nice color around,
Yeah.
right? On the grill, you're coming up from one direction. So I want a I want a face on it. So if it's not, I mean, I can go in quarters, but as long as I get a nice, good
Yeah.
section of flat on there,
Yeah.
because that's where I want to get the color.
You want some
on it.
real estate on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I can start rotating and actually cook it
Yeah.
as necessary. But that's where I want that nice
Yeah.
initial blistering.
My technique with cauliflower and broccoli is I invert it. I have a little cleaver that I use. I
Yeah.
kind of cut the stem off inverted.
Right.
And then I start breaking it apart and then cutting it as I need. And then, with the cauliflower, tossing it in the Le Creuset. But now I'm going to toss it in a Pyrex first and let it marinate.
Yeah. I mean, when you break things down, or I guess it's almost even the start of a pickle. Even really, you're kind of getting to just right before you feel like it's going to firm up and start turning into a pickle, and then throwing that and onto your heat source. That, I mean, I really like the results we've been getting with that. It was one of those. It probably came about. I was talking to a friend of mine about making stocks, and he was using kimchi in hot applications, and I'd only known it as kind of a cold condiment. You know, just
Yeah.
your Korean spicy sauerkraut, right? Like, it's delicious, but
Yeah.
there's another level of magic that happens when something that has a small amount of ferment, or even the beginnings of a pickle or something, starts to hit heat.
Yeah.
Something else happens. And
I use Samantha's, Samantha from Golden State Pickle Works.
right.
And I'll take her fermented vegetables and maybe do some of that garbanzo bean rotelli and penne. Boil that. It says 7 minutes. I boil it 5. I want it firm. And then I just let it cool off and toss it with the fermented vegetables, and you got a great pasta salad that's plant-based.
Right.
All right, so let's go back to you giving us some great advice. So you're back on the grill. What's the next thing you would throw on that grill?
I'm kind of going into the ratatouille kind of thing. So I've been doing a lot of eggplant with the summer squashes, bell peppers. I mean, basically all the vegetables, right? Everything that's there that's not going in a salad ahead of time or part of aromatics. We've been soaking a lot of beans.
Okay, so let's go with the bell peppers, because I like bell peppers. I actually like to do a bell pepper casserole with capers and anchovies.
That sounds delicious.
You like that
Yeah,
idea?
I
huh?
do.
Yeah. I like red, orange, and yellow bell peppers. Green bell peppers don't like me, and I don't like them.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't like green bell peppers. I don't
Gotcha.
like green bell peppers.
They're just unripe peppers.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's why I don't like them. So, let's see. If I were going to toss some bell peppers, it would probably be olive oil, salt, pepper, and maybe a little balsamic vinegar. Would that work?
Probably, but yes, that definitely works. Cut them in half, take the seeds out. Don't cut them anymore until after they're cooked.
Oh, really? Okay, that's good. That's
because
good.
if once you hit a grill, and I mean, if you julienne it, into slices, it's to me it's not worth the pain. Just grill it the half
And just cut off that stem part.
right,
And clean it.
yeah,
All right, I like that. I like that plan.
and then when you need to cut it down to size, you can bring it back.
If you were going to make a stuffed bell pepper, would you cut it in half sideways, or would you cut off the top?
You just go off the top to do a stuffed bell pepper.
Okay, what would you stuff it with? Look, everybody. Look. I just want you to know what a slacker Jake is. Look what he's doing to me. He's making me overindulge. I don't know what the hell's the matter with you, Jake. And by the way, I just thank you, David Gates, by the way, at Inglenook. He made arrangements for me to get 31 of these 2013 demis. He grandfathered me in at $30 a bottle. And today we're going to celebrate a few birthdays later on. So we have the 2013, we have the 2012, And then we have the most controversial wine at Inglenook, the 2011, which was a cool year. And if you like barnyard, you like dirt, you like earthiness, you'll like this wine. When I talk to the wine guides at Inglenook, I say, what percentage of your guests say they like the 2011 Cabernet Sauvignon? And they tell me 40%. And then I ask them, of the 40%, how many are saying they like it because they think that's what they're supposed to say, versus how many really like it? And they say probably half. So 20% like it, the rest 80% think it tastes like a pigsty, which is like my Lagavulin 16. You a Scotch drinker, Jay?
Yes, I am, and particularly Lagavulin.
Right, that's barnyard, right?
Right. That's a campfire and a half.
Yes, indeed.
So
bell peppers.
there's before we go there, there's probably when you talk about barnyard, there's definitely a note in the nose and on the palate of some wines that goes that far, and that's one of my favorite food writers, Harold McGee, writes about the science of food and cooking, and he's cited a research study where they found the same combination of molecules that create the flavor and the smell of white pepper, which a lot of people equate to barnyard and hay, with the same one that shows up in some hot weather Syrah and some dusty Cabernet grapes, and they can actually find what it is that, and it's the same. So it smells like white pepper or a hay barn or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
There is there's like 3 molecules that both show up there and in white pepper. So
Really?
I mean, they're not throwing white pepper in there, but
No.
the same
Oh.
the same science shows up.
Yes, yeah, and I do find that, I'm no expert on Rutherford cabs except for Inglenook Rutherford cab, and I do like the little suede mouthfeel that you get and the earthiness. Do you get a good amount of terroir earthiness in all their wines?
In all the Rutherford, definitely you get a lot of the earthiness and the terroir and everything. The suede and the smoothness just comes from them really knowing what they're doing at this particular wine.
Indeed.
That's probably more method than it is anything.
Indeed. So we're on a roll, Jake, on this in-season summer grill. So we talked a little bit about bell peppers. Let's go with my bell pepper casserole just for a minute.
I really want to.
So olive oil, salt, pepper, anchovies, capers.
Are we talking regular anchovies, or are we going like
No,
big plum bocarones?
No. Just normal star, cento, canned anchovies.
Because it's part of the method.
Mixed and broken.
Gotcha.
The centos are extremely gamey. The centos, I mean, a lot of people are going to be off-put by the centos, but if you're looking for a condiment to throw in, and so then what I do is I toss that with panko breadcrumbs, and then stick it in the oven. Mix it up and stick it in the oven. I like the panko breadcrumbs. They add a little extra crunch. How do you like that recipe?
I mean, you're talking about it, but we don't have one here to eat.
You are reminding me that I need to pick up some bell peppers at the farmer's market. But I will tell you, okay, here's one for you. I have some cento anchovies in my pantry, and what I intend on doing with them is putting some extra virgin olive oil in my 3-quart all-clad, copper-clad pan, sauteing some sliced garlic. I like sliced because it's easier to predict how it's going to cook.
Yeah. Minced garlic burns if you look at it wrong.
Yeah, right.
Then you're bitter,
Right. And then I'm going to take the anchovies, remove the oil and throw the anchovies in one can, and just kind of whoosh them around with my little Nautilus pitchfork until they break up and make a nice little brown sauce. Then I'm going to put my roasted hazelnuts in a nut grinder and throw that in. And then I'm going to chop up my Greek dried figs and throw that in and toss it with spaghetti. What do you think of that?
Yeah.
Is that crazy?
Yeah, no, there's a lot of classic things going on there, right?
Oh, are there? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just Neapolitan.
Yeah.
That my father used to make that.
Yeah. I mean, you're breaking up something that's going to be almost a bomb of like savory with, your nice figs. And once again, I've been trained so much for a certain balance of salt and acid. Your salt's already like straight there. Now I'm thinking, okay, splash a little bit of, white balsamic or
White balsamic in that would be very interesting.
I mean, you're already getting a little sweet with the fig, so just to like brighten it up, maybe that's overthinking it. Maybe just a little bit of lemon zest and lemon juice as a finish.
Oh, that's interesting. I like to do lemon zest on my linguine and clams. Believe it or not.
Always, yeah. Lemon zest and black pepper cracked at the end.
Yeah.
At the end.
Yeah, I love my coarse cracked black pepper.
Yeah.
I mentioned that we were doing the strawberries with the balsamic and the cracked black pepper. You know what else cracked black pepper likes? It likes mussels.
Yeah.
You just get a pan, pot.
It likes everything in my house. Yeah.
Well, you just get a pot of I like green lips, but get whatever you want. Put them in a pot and then just crank the cracked black pepper, cover it, crank it up, case closed, and do a little Italian bread bruschetta.
Yeah.
Put it on the bottom of a bowl, and then probably after 5 or 6 minutes, be patient. All the mussels will open up, and if you go to Hog Island, they will sell you the mussels debearded, all cleaned and debearded, and that is an easy, crazy good dish. Would you do anything different to that dish?
I'd use a little white wine to pop my mussels. I would also start with your sliced garlic from previous recipe. Maybe a touch of chili flake in there. I also wouldn't buy debearded mussels because I've never done that. I've always had debearded mussels, so if I had to cook mussels and they came without the beards in them, I think something would short circuit and I'd lose myself. Because every single time I've ever seen a batch of mussels, I'm always like, 5 years ago, I'd be like, all right, I got to, clean these up. Now it's like, all right, I got to find the new cook and make him do it.
Okay, all right, yeah, well, yeah. Now everything that you said is good, but let me tell you something. When you've been fiddle farting around all day, you've been working, cooking, selling real estate, whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah, no peeling garlic on that.
Yeah, no, and you have Hog Island mussels that are debearded, and you're just throwing those mussels in the pan with some cracked black pepper, and then taking a peek, watching them open, more cracked black pepper, and the only labor you're doing is toasting some Italian bread and putting it at the bottom of a bowl.
Yeah.
That means a lot.
Yeah, your return on investment's pretty high at that point.
Indeed.
You ever toast your black peppercorns before you put them in the grinder?
I do not.
Okay, so dry cooking sheet pan. Usually I put parchment paper on mine just to keep anything from the pan getting on the food and to keep as much of the food off the pan for later use. But if you just toast black peppercorns in the oven for 10-15 minutes at 350
in the
degrees,
oven? Yeah. 250.
Yeah, 350.
350.
For 10-15 minutes, pull them out. You got to let them cool. And I mean like dead cool. Like they have to be room temperature.
Yeah, half hour.
Otherwise, the oils in them will start to kind of steam and do that. But as long as they're like dead cold, and then you throw them into your grinder, all right, now you've got a peppercorn that is way more fragrant and cracks way easier and more evenly.
Oh, I'm liking that.
So there's for the hack that we're looking for.
I'm liking that.
There's one of them.
Now let me ask you this, because I always struggle with this. If you're picking up clams or mussels at Osprey or Hog Island, and they both have both.
Right.
You know, so many years ago, my friends Ricardo and Linda Rivera invited me over to the house to cook, and I was going to make linguine and clams. And I went into their refrigerator, and I was traumatized because the clams were in the crisper, tightly wrapped in a plastic bag.
Yeah. Okay. That's where I'm hoping you were going. So that's the thing is when you purchase shellfish,
Yes.
they're going to give it to you in whatever receptacle they have on hand, or
Yeah.
sometimes it's not the best, or however that is. But it is important that they breathe. I rinse them in ice water, pretty much all the time. Let's see. Let's talk about clams, mussels, and oysters. Yeah, all of them gets rinsed in as cold of water as you can. The clams and the mussels. There's always something about purging. So you want to let them actually be submerged in running water.
In running water.
Yeah.
Now,
and you
usually,
can salt it a little, but
Yeah.
but that's only for maybe 15, 20 minutes.
okay.
Some people have this 1 hour purging method. I'm not really. I'm sure there's literature on it that I should have already read by now, but just purging it a little works very well.
Now, I usually stick them after I purge them, I stick them in a bowl with a damp towel over them and put them in the crisper. Is that all right?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Honestly, the damp towel, only if you're going to keep them for a couple days. It's like the same as
Done.
it's the same as
Done.
trying to
Done.
keep
Done.
lobsters alive. You just want to do a little bit of
It's good.
wet newspaper.
Okay. Wet newspaper.
If you're trying to keep lobsters alive.
Okay.
In a similar situation. I mean, I don't want to get shellfish much before the day before I'm about to do something, or 2 days before.
Usually, if I go to the
Yeah.
farmer's market,
Yeah.
you know, when they were doing it at the Oxbow parking lot, I would buy 2 pounds of mussels, 2 pounds of clams. I would go home and make one of them,
Yeah.
and then the next day I would make the other one for lunch.
Or skip one more day, but
Yeah,
not more
but
than that.
not-
Right.
It would not go
Well,
past 24 hours.
That brings up a very good thread of trying, like, the advice or the hacks to try to, like, get your production at home kind of in gear a little bit more. And it's simple, but if you have a plan and you start having seconds for things, so I know, if we get the chicken, we roast the chicken, if this is the chicken week, right? I know I'm also making a chicken stock, because we'll probably make an udon noodle soup later on in the week.
Oh, that sounds very fancy pants.
Or we do I have chicken salad with the stuff that we don't have for supper tonight. Like, part of the chicken goes to dinner tonight, and then the rest is allocated for other methods and things coming in down the pipe.
Oh, here they are. Oh,
Those are our people.
yeah, these are our people. Okay, we have the rest of our entourage going. So, hey, gents, how you doing? How you doing? Hold on for a minute. We're going to wrap up a video, but you're good there. You're good. You can even come on. Come here. So this is Damon. Come on behind me.
Oh, yeah.
Here's Damon, assistant baseball coach at Cal.
How you
Oh,
doing?
there you go. You've been disclosed.
Okay.
There's Mark, my neighbor. Very good. So, give me 2 minutes, and I got all these bottles.
We'll sit down at
Cool.
Okay, good.
doing?
Thank you. So anyway, now we have 2 birthday celebrations to engage in. We have another 3 demis to consume before we go to our tasting. I do highly recommend that if you're going to release yourselves from your shelter in place, you do come to Inglenook, and because it's a very safe place to go. And Jake, if people want to do any private chefing, we talked a little bit about what you might do today. How do they contact you? What's your cell phone?
Cell phone or email.
Whatever you say.
I correspond with email. I'll leave a link for you to
Okay.
place and whatever description or whatever
Okay.
trailer you have for your video.
Good.
But yeah, I mean, I have a lot of time, and I'm
In-
very interested in entertaining. I mean, it goes to the point. I mean, that's what I'm in the hospitality industry. That's what I went to school for and everything else. So
Very
I would
good.
love to help somebody be able to throw a really nice, backyard
soiree.
barbecue, soiree, whatever
Soiree.
we want to do,
Soiree.
like put together canapes, a curated cocktail, whatever we want to get down on. That's what I do.
Very good, very good. Okay, so this video will wind up on YouTube. It will wind up on video. It will be at Vimeo. It will wind up on a dozen different of my Facebook pages, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, TV, blah, 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 blah. So if you need any catering done, contact me and I'll get you in touch with Chef Jake Wood. Again, above and beyond my sparkling personality, I am a real estate broker. So if you're looking to buy, sell, or exchange any real estate in the San Francisco Bay Area, or need to go any place in the country for